Hey Tristan, great to see you, man.
Good to see you too, and thanks for having me in today. And it's great to finally get a chance to, speak a little bit more about commercial real estate in Durham Region and Clarington, and just see what we can do to kind of bring a different aspect from marketing, get people excited about commercial real estate again, because it seems like something that's just been pushed to the side and not focused on for a while.
You said it, man. I mean, I think 5 years ago is when, we really went heavy on real estate media, photography, video, drone, etc., Instagram reels. And we kind of were, a force in the local area in the Durham region, helping to push the envelope with exciting media for residential listings, right? Like we made them like we put a lot of love into every single video, and just telling a story basically. But it seems like commercial properties have kind of just been left to dry, and they're very boring. And there's like when you go see a listing, like what do you commonly see, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you go see a listing, it'll look nothing like the pictures. It'll, show the general area. You don't really get a full idea. And a lot of times it'll miss a lot of important aspects of the property too. So really getting people excited to go see a commercial property is a bit different. And, sometimes it might work both ways. Sometimes it might attract new people, and sometimes it might save people some time from going to see a listing when it's something that's not even going to work for them.
Absolutely, that's true. Yeah. Why don't we use the example of a pizza shop, and let's fully dissect a listing versus how normally people are listing a pizza shop for sale versus how we would do it, and why we think we feel so passionately about the way we would do it, and why it would be good for the seller, good for the buyer, good for the community as well too, right? What currently is typically how a pizza shop may be listed. You see one photo outside, maybe if you're lucky, a few photos of the kitchen, if they're brave enough to show it.
Yeah.
And usually that photo is actually just ripped right from Google Street View as well.
For sure. I mean, we all know that we need to blur the business name out and make sure that we're not, advertising the business if it's space that a tenant's going to take over, or if it's a business sale, it might be something that, needs to be discreet because the business owner doesn't want to let the public or employees know that it's being sold. But if it's something that's a space that can be used for another pizza shop, so we'll go with that example. It just looks like, we're not featuring what that kitchen has. We're not featuring what it could be. We're not featuring people coming in. We're not getting people excited about it, and how we can make that, pizza shop come to life. That is where we need to do something different. And what are your ideas that, can bring something different if we're going to bring a new tenant into the space that wants to run a pizza shop? Maybe it's a franchise that's going into that space, or maybe it's someone opening a small business themselves that's going to take over that, and you don't want to make it Pascal's Pizza.
There's a few interesting things you said there. I think one, just to go back a bit about being discreet, it's very important, especially if the seller wants to be discreet, and that's critical. Right, especially for not letting existing customers know, then kind of everything gets shaken up. In my opinion, I think that what should start to be done is, as long as the seller is comfortable and it's okay with the nature of the business to allow for this too, is to just full out come out and be like, I'm for sale. Right, and here's my argument for that. In some cases, at least in the case of like a pizza shop, let's say a pizza shop's been around for a couple decades, has a very strong loyal customer base, and so maybe that's a reason why they don't want to have their customers know they're selling. But in my opinion, I would argue, like, come out and say, I'm hanging the cape. and I've served this community, for many years, but I want to find a new proud owner because it's time for me to hang up the cape. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm retiring. And the pizza shop can't run forever. My kids don't want to be part of it. So which one of you guys are interested? Is someone from the community interested to take over? And I think that's important to just get that stigma out of the way from the beginning, because people are going to find out anyways, in my opinion, that it's for sale.
Yeah,
So
no,
like, why
absolutely.
are we trying to hide it? Like, there was this really funny moment. I went to a restaurant in Coburg, and the manager was like, "Oh, like, what are you taking photos for?" The manager didn't even know that like the restaurant was going up for sale. Which is fine, but it's like I had to pretend that I'm doing it for promo. Like, oh yeah, I'm just taking photos for promo purposes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to pretend. But and then just to continue on, like, what kind of things can be done, getting that seller on camera, talking about the years, the fun, the joy, the positivity that came from running that business, being your own boss, getting that potential buyer excited to purchase that business. Like, make like a little short promo video documentary out of that, and you eliminate the stigma. You get your potential buyer excited, and like, I think it just covers check boxes a lot of things. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a couple of things you said there. And, the first point I want to talk about is people are going to find out anyway. And you know what? That's the nature of how media is today, and just how our, society is, being transparent. And, I think that transparency really at the end of the day is, maybe what's going to win over the community. And, it also, to your point about being someone in the community, it could be someone from outside the community that's, coming from the city to open up a business here because it's more affordable for rent, more affordable for taxes. You have more parking, all the advantages of, coming to a suburb. And, it might be someone that doesn't know or as familiar with the community, but they want to invest in a business that's prominent. So, if we're featuring or you're featuring that business in a way that's exciting, something that's been part of the community for a while, it's just going to get more people excited.
100%, man. Let's dial it back a bit. Let's talk a little bit about ourselves and introduce ourselves to potential buyers that may want to hire us and partner with us in selling their business, commercial property, or anything else, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
why don't we start with you? Like, introduce yourself. Like, what's your history? Where did you come from before being a real estate agent? What was like that light bulb moment where it was like, I'm going to be a real estate agent? And since then too, like, what are some things that you would love people to know and learn about you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, I've been in the Durham Region area all my life. It's an area that I grew up in, went to school, really passionate about the area. I started in retail, and, the last few years I was in retail. I was leading a business on a national level, opening new locations all over Ontario and other parts of Canada. So I have a lot of experience on the business end and understanding you as a business owner out there and what you're going through, because I know the challenges of what it takes to renovate a new space, the logistics, the hiring, the contractors you're dealing with, the timelines, all the things that you might not think of, like the HVAC units that make a huge difference. So have experience understanding from that side. And a couple of years ago, I was thinking, maybe I can help people on the other side of it. And, maybe I can get some more understanding to have a better voice at the table from the other side while we're looking for new locations. So, becoming a real estate agent was a logical next step. And, after going through that whole process of being educated as a realtor, meeting with a lot of local business owners that, I have relationships with before, and really understanding what they want to do and, their challenges in the industry. And then, up till today, joining, the Nook as a realtor, and, really taking it to the next level, having a great base of knowledge inside the brokerage that, it feels like family there. It really does, from a perspective that, everybody has their own business, everybody respects everybody's business, but nobody's trying to be number one plus one. Everybody's trying to help each other grow and get to the next level, which is fantastic. And and how do we as realtors really bring our business to the next level? And that's why I'm here. That's why I want to, or like, partnering with Castle. And it's really about social media now, and grabbing the attention, whether it's residential or commercial, grabbing the attention of those potential buyers, renters, and why they want to be part of the experience, and want to go see a place or want to work with you in general. And the days are done of picking up the phone, and everybody's seen those old Boiler Room movies, picking up the phone, trying to get someone to answer. Nobody wants to answer their phone these days to someone they don't know. So you need to give them a reason to want to work with you and contact you. And that's why this is so important. And, talking about what we can offer differently, and, bringing these sort of things to light. And, really, really offering something different. And so what about yourself?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm so excited to be partnering with you with this. I think you nailed it on the head there, bringing together the media and telling stories. It all comes down to stories for me, and that's how I like to start talking about myself. I started photography and video about 15 years ago, nearly. And I started with the BACD, which is in Whitby, where you can start a business as a young person, or at any age of your life. They have another program for that too. So I did summer company in high school, and I actually submitted a proposal to start a moving company at first, and I sent it in, and then that was when I had an epiphany, where it was like, I don't want to start a moving company. And actually, it's funny. Maybe that would have been an interesting life if I had stayed with that moving company. But I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And back then, I had no idea, right? But then it clicked, and I thought, I want to make movies. I want to tell stories. And I thought, okay, promo videos, get a camera, get a laptop, learn to edit. So I rewrote my 10-page business proposal to get accepted into this program. Where you get $3,000 to start your own business. I got accepted out of like 100 applicants, got narrowed it down to 10 accepted, bought a camera, bought a laptop, and then the rest is history. 15 years later, 5 years ago, we really went heavy on real estate media, and now we service some of the biggest fish in the pond. If their face is on a bus, we probably do work for them and have done work for them. There's a few new faces, which is interesting, and it's a lot of fun. And my wife and I, Abby, we built an amazing team, servicing photography, video, all the essentials, floor plans, Instagram reels for real estate agents, and it's a ton of fun. So I go to work every day, not really feeling like work, because it's something I love doing every day, right? But then on the other side of that, I also joined becoming a realtor with the Nook. Still 98% of my life is being a photographer, and will be. And so I wanted to actually bring that advantage as a professional photographer and videographer and advanced drone pilot that can fly right beside the Oshawa airport and all that to a real estate transaction realm, to partner with someone like yourself, right? And to also for like my own investments too, potentially, and have a little bit extra buying power in a transaction. But it was also just great to learn everything behind the scenes, going through Rico Humber, like what is involved in being a real estate agent was fantastic. And now I get to go to all these events for free, and it's great to have feet in both kind of worlds. Just as much as any real estate agent can pick up a camera and do like their own things, which many do, obviously, right? So it's fantastic to kind of be there,
Yeah, and that's sort of a similar path, to myself. And, so we kind of both started our real estate journey as being part of the conversation, having more knowledge for our customers or clients or people we're speaking to have more professional knowledge and accreditation in order to give the best advice when we're talking to people. I mean, I think back 20, 30 years ago to my parents or grandparents' days, and, people would have one job, one focus, and, that's it. You need to go to work. You're there for 30, 35 years, whatever the case may be. You retire with your, pension and such, and that's the story.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love that, today in society that, everybody has the opportunity to, have multiple areas that they can, be knowledgeable about and, kind of shift and say, you know what, I spent time in this industry, how can I build on that experience and just take it to the next level with all my other experience, whether it's focusing on customer service, mass logistics, build outs, whatever the case may be. But, at the end of the day, bringing that experience to people is where I think, we, really shine to,
Absolutely.
make a difference in people's, real estate journey.
Yeah, man, being able to pivot. So like how we kind of pivoted from different worlds into another world. I think COVID really taught us that, you have to pivot to move with the world sometimes, right? We did see an age where a few years where it was work from home. And that really shifted the market in ways where people would go buy a big, beautiful home in the middle of nowhere and be able, you can just buy Starlink and be on your Zoom calls.
Yeah.
But then, that's great. And that made like a lot of smaller hamlets and smaller towns across Canada probably shine with properties that may have become dilapidated otherwise. But now it's like, get back to work. Productivity is down.
Yeah.
So now it's like shifting back. It's kind of funny. So there's that, which is really interesting.
So how do we fill these vacant spaces? There's so many vacant office spaces, like, I think of some areas downtown Oshawa, whatever the case may be. How do we really, as realtors and, real estate media, help the cities take it to the next level and really focus on, people wanting to, I think what it comes down to is interaction. Interact with your coworkers. Sure, like you were saying, you can do things via Zoom. It's much more efficient. You can digitally sign all your documents, which, are pretty convenient most of the time for sure. But how do we really get it back to people wanting to be around colleagues and, just having normal conversation, and it doesn't have to be awkward water cooler conversation, but to kind of support and shift that focus. So, this going back to the office isn't a scary thing. It's a useful thing. And, really supports that growth of companies. And you mentioned productivity, and, I think, I think step back with COVID, is one of those things that maybe a lot of people are just still, focused on, and maybe it's holding that back.
Right. Yeah. All right. You know what we should do? Let's go through a case study on like what exactly we would do if if a buyer came to us and said, "Hey, I need help selling this." Fill in the blank.
Okay.
So what should we use? Do we want to use either the example of an office downtown or a pizza shop, or we could do both? Or which one do you feel more ready and capable of wanting to go through as a case study, do you think?
So I just want to let's define what we're doing if it's a pizza shop. So there's two parts, right? We're either selling the business, or we're selling the building, or we're leasing the space.
Aha.
So, or we could do both. I just like
That's fair.
what should we focus on? Should we focus on we're just selling the business, maybe
Yeah,
itself?
let's do that. Sometimes people...
Selling the business and taking over the current lease.
Right, let's do that. That sounds good.
All
Yeah,
right.
perfect. So we have ABC Pizza approaching us to sell their business. They've been in the community for 15 years, and now they're looking to hang up the cape and retire. They've thrown so much pizza dough up in the air that now dough is raining down, and they've got a comfy retirement plan.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
So what are like the first things that typically we should do to just kind of like start beyond like signing papers and, representation? Obviously we won't dabble into that, but like what are like the major things to go into?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's just understanding the business owner's goals, really. For sure, yeah, like you said, the paperwork is really important. Like, how much time is left on their lease currently? Because that is going to be appealing or not appealing to what the next, potential buyer of the business is going to want. Is it going to be the same terms? How's the relationship with the landlord? Those types of thing, right? Does the landlord maybe want to turn it into something else? Is there a demolition clause? All those things that you need to go through.
Right.
But, I think, finding the motivation, for the seller is really important, so we can make sure that we can get that seller the most out of their business.
Yeah, I think it's important to be transparent. Like, I think most buyers are cautious. Like, why are you selling your business? Is it not doing well?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, like, you have to be forthcoming with financials and stuff. But let's assume someone's just retiring and business is good.
Yeah, 100%. That they have a steady flow of income and, customers, love it. Then I think, the next step is making sure that we can frame the business in a way that isn't just numbers and a name. Because that's what it is right now. We go through, it's these numbers, this is your EBITDA, this is probably what the business is worth. We're going to start on that. Your business is going to include all these chattels and fixtures, we're off and running with, whatever the number ends up being.
Right. So laying everything out, like what's included, what's not included, what's the revenue, what's the net profit. And if those numbers aren't squeaky clean, and unfortunately most of the time it's not, unless you have kind of a rare case where like they have a great bookkeeper and they do have 6-8 years of great financials to look back on. But let's say someone's like kind of a bit of a mess. So then what would be like the essentially the solution to get them on like a right foot if someone says open up the books and the books aren't ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's really working with their accountant, bookkeeper, their lawyer, making sure that they have all the right documentation and everything makes sense. Do they have any liens against the business?
Any debt, right?
Any debt that needs to be paid out at the time. And what's their vendor contracts like? That's another big thing that people overlook. Sometimes small businesses don't have contracts to get their pizza dough. And sometimes they do. And the advantages of having a contract is at least that on Fridays, your pizza dough will be delivered fresh, whatever the case may be. But if you don't have a contract, you might not know where to get, as a new business owner or taking over ABC Pizza Shop, you don't know, where you're going to get your pizza dough.
It's a good point.
Like, be consistent.
I remember someone saying, like, imagine we learned this in Rico Humber. It was an example where it was like, okay, this business is selling, but not included in the books was the fact that the seller's cousin was supplying some cabbages or some kind of ingredient. And it's like, well, now that cousin's not going to really care to give a good deal to that seller anymore, or even if they are going to continue to be a vendor, it won't be at a family cousin discount anymore. So that's like a hidden shadow cost that's not included in the books that absolutely needs to be disclosed, right? And someone else also said any inventory that's going to expire within 6 months, I don't want to include as part of my purchase.
Yeah,
is like an
that's
interesting
important
thing to think about too, right? So, what kind of inventory?
Yeah, what's all coming with it? Because your business might not sell in 6 months, so then all that stuff is expired anyways. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think with a business more than anything. I mean, when you're selling a home or just a commercial space, it's really a lot of times up to the imagination. Sometimes it's a lifestyle, whatever the case may be. But really with the business, it is that business that you're selling and the lifestyle that goes along with it and trying to portray that excitement. So you also need to put yourself more in the buyer's shoes than ever and want to make sure that, usually as a business owner, that buyer is interested. They're passionate about what you're selling.
Yes.
Like, why do you want to get into the pizza business?
Yeah,
true. Are you going to take over the name of the shop? Is that name transferable, right? Is that part of the sale? Or do I not want my family name of the pizza shop being transferred over to somebody else because it might not be used in the same way too? So that's another thing. If ABC Pizza Shop to be, the number one place in the community, then, it's something that, we need to talk about with that seller. The other thing is too now that's really important is Instagram accounts. How many does that go with the business? Does the Facebook account go with the business? All these digital assets now are part of the business that makes a difference. Just like earlier we were talking about, how do we grow as, realtors or business owners, whatever the case may be. That is a huge part of the business now.
There should be appraisals done on Instagram accounts too. Are those followers real? Right?
Yeah.
It's
It's a big part. And I think that's something that's really overlooked. Now when people are selling businesses, what does that look like, those digital assets?
Yeah, you're right. That's awesome. So we've done, let's call phase one, introductory call, learning all the goals and what's included, what's not included, et cetera, right? So let's say we got everything hammered down and all smooth. Then now we're kind of stepping into phase two now, which is like, okay, telling the story, creating the media, which is going above and beyond like the norm, what most people are doing now with commercials, or commercial properties. And so, like portraying the excitement, creating content, coming out from the get-go, transparent, saying, yes, I'm hanging up the cape. Get that seller on board if they're very, especially if they're charismatic, like even better, right? Most business owners tend to be. And I think that's what's missing too. And that's what fascinates me the most, that residential, we have we do like lifestyle videos even, and it's like, oh, like glamour and fun and emotional and great and exciting. But then running a business is literally the epitome of excitement and adventure and stepping into the unknown. Like we should be and the potential buyers are entrepreneurial naturally as well too, in spirit and adventure and excitement. So we should probably be portraying that in the media. Fun, fast, interesting. Here's the ways that this business can make your dreams come true.
I mean, you think of shows like Undercover Boss, for example, that was really business focused, where the CEO would go in disguise, something fun. But the second part of that second phase is, we don't only maybe want to speak to the owner and get the owner on camera, but we want to speak to some of those employees and, to maybe see what those employees are, like, and, if they want to stay. Because if a lot of those employees want to stay in that business, then that could help you maybe make a decision as a buyer, saying like, hey, those employees are happy here. It's going to be really easy, because as, a previous leader of a business with a lot of people in it, the most challenging thing is hiring. So if you have people excited inside your business and they're willing to go on camera and talk about it, I think you're halfway there.
Nicely said. Absolutely. Especially if you're looking for like potentially a more absentee sort of business role where like, yes, you want to be a business owner, but maybe not be so dedicated in the dealings. Maybe someone gets promoted, someone who deserves that manager role that's been there for years then and can run the place. And you have some, there's so many different ways it can go down, but that's absolutely one aspect. If the talent is staying there, thank goodness they're staying. Right?
Yeah, and you know what? If the owner is okay with it too, why don't we talk to some of the customers, genuine customers, too? Get them on camera talking about why they love this place.
Right.
So much.
I've been coming here every day for 12 years. Like,
yeah,
there's a few of those. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
I want to make sure my 4 milk, 3 sweetener coffee is going to be the same.
100%, 100%. Yeah,
those
like
loyal customers are the lifeline of a small business. So yeah, you got to make 100%. Sure those guys stay, especially when potential business is being handed off to someone else and a different name and this and that.
Yeah. It's not just the numbers; it's the potential of those numbers as well in the future for the buyer that we were talking about earlier. And I think that's a lot of times what'll make the difference too.
Absolutely. There's also when a seller sells a business, there's a period of time that they'll stay on to help kind of train the new buyer.
Yeah.
What is that called exactly? I'm actually drawing a blank, genuinely.
So that would just be a transition period that you can put a clause in where the owner will stay on for. It's typically 3 to 6 months, depending on the size of the business. If you're, maybe a glass company or something that's a little more intricate where you have some manufacturing at your facility, or a large business with large exports and that sort of thing, you stay on maybe a bit longer. But 3 to 6 months during that transition period is something that we would typically put in if we were representing the buyer, but also the seller can definitely offer that.
Nice. Here's something that comes to mind too. When you were talking about how you were working on a national scale of expanding retail, so you obviously are very confident and comfortable with the idea of economic development offices in different local areas. So how you're born and raised in the Durham region, you said too. What are some amazing standout features in the local area? I'm born and raised in Whitby myself, live in Newtonville now, so started on the left, ended up in the right. So what are some big standout like institutions and facilities and things up and coming? Why would a business want to move to or stay in the Durham region?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I was on vacation recently this summer, and someone said, where are you from? And the easiest thing to say is Oshawa. It's a bigger city now. It's maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you might say Toronto. But that makes it seem like I'm not even from the area saying Toronto instead of Toronto.
Bowmanville is up and coming, actually.
Bowmanville's up and coming. Yeah, that's true. So you say Oshawa, and then people still relate that to General Motors.
Yeah.
And I think that stigma is still out there, but it's so much more now in Oshawa. And I use Oshawa as the central hub, as the largest city. You have Ontario Tech, Durham College, which is always expanding. You have the Tribute Center, where big names come to play.
Yeah,
and
right.
There's lots of exciting things going on in and around the city. There's you mentioned Bowmanville. People are focused a lot on sustainability now. There's a lot of farms, a lot of local businesses and such that just really are community focused. I mean, Pickering, you got the Porsche Center that just opened, the driving experience. Right. You can go up north of Bowmanville there. You got the track there. So you got Mossport.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many things to the area. The waterfront, Whitby, Oshawa, I know is working on some development
Ajax
up there.
waterfront is like the epitome of what a beautifully done waterfront should be. It's amazing. It's awesome. Parks and a connected trail.
Yeah.
There's a few standout things in the Durham region in Clarington, even beyond just like all the great employment offerings like Amazon, massive. There's like a couple big warehouses.
That's
There's
true.
The GO Train maintenance and paint. Massive facilities, South Whitby as well. But beyond those, which is great, it feels like the Durham region is really becoming rounded out. A few exciting developments coming are finally, we've got the GO Train extension going to Curtis and Bowmanville,
Yes,
which
yes.
has been coming for in 5 years.
Yeah, for the
25
past,
years.
yeah.
But it looks like there's actually work being done, so that is actually going to be done, which is great. So it's kind of nice for people in Bowmanville to hop on a train and go see a concert at the ACC, or I call it the Sky Dome still, and wherever else, right? And then just hop back home too. But beyond that too, and then we've also got huge small modular reactor nuclear power plants coming.
That's true.
To Wesleyville, east or west of Port Hope. Which is super cool, which is great for me because I'm in Newtonville. So
Yeah.
I kind of hit the jackpot there and very happy about that. Apparently it can, once all 4 are built, it can power 1.2 million homes, which is insane. That's like almost the entire GTA apparently.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's
lots of cool things in the Durham region.
there's lots of reasons for people to come here. The expanding in the warehouse space is a big thing. I mean, look, if you are a developer and you are interested in developing your land, making a warehouse, I mean, is not a bad idea right now. There's so much from a distribution standpoint. I think that's a lot of the focus right now is storage, and then warehouse and logistics. On top of using the existing office space, and that we talked about before with people coming in, interacting. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I think that's a commonality here is there's not enough commercial space
Oh yeah.
in the Durham region in
100%.
Clarington in order to facilitate everyone that wants to come here. And the other thing that I've learned over the past couple of years is there's a lot of people who are entrepreneurial and they want to start businesses or they want to grow their business,
Right.
and we can't find space.
Yeah, true.
There's not enough space.
Yeah. We recently had the 407 kind of built in the North Durham, let's call it, right? Extended past through Pickering all the way to the 115 between Bowmanville and Newcastle now. I'm hoping that typically around the 407 and the 412 and the 418, the interchanges from the 401 tends to be rounded out with industrial and commercial. So hopefully there's more, especially smaller commercial units. I think that is actually one of the most empowering things for someone to, build and either own, or a landlord that wants to own a couple units. Like, like having this space was like my first incredible, perfect investment I've ever did 7 years ago. And I wish there was more like this. There's people that can start small catering companies, starting small and then putting in that love and effort into making it grow. Actually, I think next door used to be Fantastic Treats as well. No, it wasn't this unit. I don't think. No, it was someone next door. And then now she's like everywhere, right? She's in the Oshawa Mall. She was in Chevrolet dealership. So you gotta allow people to start small. So hopefully we do see more small industrial units or small commercial retail.
Those ones north of Taunton there, across from the airport, those went really quickly.
Yes.
Once they were all built. But expansion that way is going to just open up so much more opportunities for people and their businesses.
Yeah.
And going back to the media portion of a lot of these places, if you look on the MLS, it's just a blank concrete and metal roof slate, and what can you put in there? And I think that's where the difference, where media can come in
Yes.
and show you what that place could be.
Right.
You mentioned catering, so everything has its specific zoning for sure. So we have to make sure that it falls within that zoning of that area. But you could showcase so many opportunities. You want to put a salon in there. You want to do catering out of there. You want to open it as, a spa, whatever the case may be. There is so many opportunities. And I think sometimes people don't understand the opportunities that are available in those smaller commercial units that they're
100%.
looking to expand their business.
Yeah, and whether you want to own and operate or just own and lease out, no longer I think is like the duplex the way to go to build nominal wealth, generational wealth. I think now you have to go either fourplex if you want to stay in the residential realm. But as a commercial landlord, which unfortunately there isn't enough, but as a commercial landlord, you have a lot more power under the Ontario guidelines of like landlord and tenant board, right? So like if let's say you're a landlord, you're renting out an industrial unit, if payment doesn't come in within 16 days, you can change the lock and essentially tell them, I'm going to sell everything inside this unit if you don't pay me within 5 days.
Yeah.
And you have way more power as a landlord, which is important to have if you're a good landlord, right? Like, of course, in the commercial realm, which is really exciting, and people should be like excited about it. Really.
Yeah, and those units over the past number of years, again, they're a bit of a retraction from 2021, 2022 for sure. But I mean, those, if you're looking to purchase, maybe you don't want to sell your business at the end. Maybe your business, you just kind of retire, but at the end, you'll still have that commercial unit. And that's what's going to grow over a period of time. That's where your investment is.
That's right.
So, if you're open to purchasing a commercial unit, whatever the size is, it's a good investment. We talk about residential all the time, as you mentioned, but buying those commercial units is great. Whether you want to be an owner operator or you want to just be a landlord and lease them out.
Yeah, 100%, right? Yeah, so commercial is just really exciting all around.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that sticks out to me is, just really important is that, people, when they're buying, doesn't matter, ABC Pizza Shop or getting into a new business. And I've been talking to a lot of people who are entrepreneurial lately, want to get into different businesses, that they need a realtor or a team or somebody to talk to them who's knowledgeable in business, so they understand the business plan aspect. A lot of people want to start that cookie shop. A lot of people want to start, that new restaurant or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people don't have the full scope, understanding what it takes, to run that business. So working with people who are educated and knowledgeable and experienced in business is almost as important to have somebody experienced in the real estate side, to understanding that process of going through. So
that's very true. And for anyone that wants, since we're on the topic of if someone wants to enter the realm of being a business owner, highly recommend locally the BACD. Spark Center is also an amazing place, but specifically the BACD, which is what I did. Any age, you can use their starter company program and get, I think, something between $4,000 and $5,000 to start a business. I think a portion of that needs to be repaid, but most of it you actually do keep, if I'm not mistaken. And they're awesome. BACD mentorship, so you're actually under the wing of someone as a business owner. So and obviously that's not enough to purchase a unit or anything. But hey, in a few years, maybe that's you start your business from home. Catering or whatever the case may be, and then you need a place, right? So if you're whatever level you're at, you can literally start from the ground, get a few $1,000s with the BACD, send a proposal, get accepted, be under the wing of a mentor, enter your business, become the expert at it. And then when you're ready to buy or lease the space, you contact us. We'll
Yeah,
help you.
yeah. No, I mean that's definitely. And just for people watching, BACD, what's that acronym
Oh
stand
yeah,
for again?
Business Advisory Center Durham.
Okay, awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing people.
Awesome.
Just incredible. They are. Every once in a while, I'm talking to colleagues and friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I started my business with the BACD too."
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome, and just
yeah.
really something to connect
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for having me on. It's great to sit down and talk to you. About commercial real estate, what we can offer people differently, and I'm excited to talk about some more case studies when we have some more to offer with the current media standard, I would say.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to get boots on the ground and talk about real world examples without divulging too much. But, we'll get right into to so much. I'm really excited. So thanks, Tristan. And if you guys are interested in anything that we talked about, whether you're selling a business, buying a business, purchasing commercial property, selling commercial property, leasing, retail, small industrial, anything under that, or you're looking to do residential with Tristan, of course he does that too a lot, or you want to hire us for any photography stuff as well, we're open for business. So contact us, and thanks for tuning in.